Hi, yeah, welcome back to Radio Free Gastonia, Internet's #1 source for just barely sufficient radio historical content. I just want to say, it's a very weird place. This is the end of December 2024, in the life of the United States, in the life of the rest of the world. We're entering into a very interesting and complicated phase. But I've been thinking a lot during this time of the people that I have great regard for. People like Eugene Debs, people like Dorothy Day, Simone Weil, John Lewis. The people who have shown us that, as John Lewis said, you can make a way out of no way. I don't want to paint like a happy picture on like to cover over the very, very serious problems that we face. Not just in the short term politically, like the legislative, human rights problems that will inevitably be coming in the United States, but also in Europe and India and other countries, like where the right wing is on the march. Those things are deadly serious, but they are also in like kind of a shorter term time frame. And then we have these bigger problems like climate change that are going to unfold over a longer time. But I think what I would say to that is that the short-term and long-term problems are very interconnected. Those long-term problems are going to probably, especially in terms of climate change, are probably going to come here a lot sooner than we expect. I honestly, personally think that the worst case scenarios that scientists are projecting are probably like the least case scenario. It's probably actually going to be worse than what even like their worst case scenarios are. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope in 25 or 50 years I will be proven wrong. But at the time, it seems that the projections are pretty bad. So, I guess I'm talking about like two different, it's like Fernand Braudel and his like great work, The Mediterranean, the French historian who talked about like the history of the Mediterranean over like small amounts of time in politics, slightly longer amount of times in like economic stuff, and then longer periods of time in geological, glacial, like meteorological things. We're operating in the world that Fernand Braudel was describing, which is that like who wins an election, who passes a piece of legislation right now, it is pretty significant. It can potentially have pretty large knock-on effects over the next, decades or even 100 years or so. But, we have to have a bigger perspective on how all this works because whether you live in the United States or Britain or Germany or France, you have to clearly see that center-left parties are not like accomplishing anything, and in fact are probably paving the way for extreme right-wing forces to do drastic things that will be harmful to the most vulnerable people, and also not do anything about the imminent crisis that we're facing. So, taking that into account. So if we think about the medium term or longer term, I think it's I do think it's important to think beyond like the immediate politics. Like, what can we do to address the medium term and long term effects of things? I'm not saying that immediate politics don't matter. Like, they matter a great deal. The fact that Donald Trump is going to be president of the United States again, the fact that the AfD in Germany is potentially going to have a greater influence, the fact that Marine Le Pen in France is going to potentially have like a greater influence is scary and important and needs to be immediately directly addressed. But I still think that like in the bigger picture, like we really need to zoom out in the way that Fernand Braudel, the great French historian, encouraged us to do, which is to look at history and culture in the different like lens frames of it, the different nearsighted or farsighted like versions of it that we as a species like need to survive. I mean, I do believe that, but in the early 21st century, it does seem that like very conservative right-wing forces are on the march in like quite a few countries. Italy, Germany, Britain, United States, and there are others. But like beyond the immediate implications of electoral politics, what can we do to sort of anticipate the longer run implications of things? There's going to be other elections in February or January or 2 years from now, but what is possible to be done to try to position ourselves for this longer struggle? It's not going to be easy. It's going to be very difficult, obviously. But like, if we can like take ourselves out of the immediate circumstance of the next election or this particular electoral contest, but like to think what is necessary to address these extremely, extremely serious issues. I mean, in the United States, we have no other choice but that. It's like Donald Trump is going to be running this country for the next 4 years or until he passes. In the meantime, we have to figure out what we're doing. So that's all I'm saying. We need a short term, a medium term, and a long term way of thinking about like how to deal with these problems. Because the life of humans and many other species on this planet strongly depend on it. So anyway, that's all I'm saying. I've been reading a lot about, people like Dorothy Day and Simone Weil. Or Eugene Debs and other activist people that I've admired in the past, and I've been trying to think about the way they would think about how to deal with these things. And I know that none of them would have ever, or Dietrich Bonhoeffer, like, none of them would have ever given up. And we can't give up. It's just the menu that's on our plate. And if you're a person of good faith and heart who cares about the future of this planet and our people, then you're going to have to really think about these things. So anyway, I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just saying we need to think about these things. So anyway, it's all about love. and I'll see you next time. Bye.